Hello, everybody. Hello, Danny. Thanks for your time. Hello, Peter.
Hello, Denny. Hi, Armin. Nice to meet you guys.
Hello, Peter and Armin.
Hi.
It's terrific being invited here. I thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you in our show, Danny.
We appreciate your appearance on the show. Thank you.
And we need some stronghold from America. We need some strong people here on the show. Nice.
It does help to have one of the strongest archers in the world on the show.
We talk about this in a sec. Don't you worry. We got you covered. I mean, you get us covered, but you know what I mean. Exactly. Nice. So, Danny, for the people who don't know you, would you like to tell us where you come from, where you live, what you're doing, what you did?
Absolutely. I live in Southeast Wisconsin. I have been a soldier and a professional hunter for almost 30 years.
Okay. So you started when you were 5?
7, actually. I started when I was 7. But I actually, my hunting on my own, I started rather young. Understood. And luckily I had my grandfather and my parents to foster that. Archery has been a huge part of my life. I actually started archery when I was 4. Wow. I'm actually 47 now. Starting the show.
Yeah. I shaved. That don't look too old here,
I'm thinking about it. My wife doesn't like that, but neither do my girlfriends. But we're not going to talk about the girlfriends today. That would be wrong.
You want to talk about your wife or your girlfriends? It's up to you, but you should separate. We do another show with you.
I definitely separate them, and they keep separated themselves.
And we make sure that your wife doesn't watch this show now. Yeah.
I promise you, she is not going to watch it. My girlfriends, on the other hand, they will.
Okay.
But no, I started in archery when I was about 4 years old, and I actually started in something called Kyudo, or Kyujitsu, Japanese archery. And I started in martial arts at that time. I was a very large kid, so I needed all the help I could get to kind of move around a little bit. And it helped. I became very strong, very fast. Between archery and martial arts. I also got to go to work with my dad, who worked in the trades, and he had me moving around a lot of heavy equipment.
Okay.
Basically, he wanted to just keep me quiet, and I did. Anything my dad asked me to do, I do. And when I was done, I got more arrows, which I went through a lot of when I was a kid. Destroyed a lot of them, and then as I got stronger, I got new bows and just better and better and more. German Shepherds do not listen when they're 6 months old.
So you were into archery without interruption from the age of 4 on.
That is correct. That is correct. When I joined the Army, one of the things that they do on the Ranger course is they have a small area that is specified for archery, and they expect you to do very poorly because they give you very terrible equipment. But when you're actually good enough to hit 3 bullseyes in a row, they pull you out and they ask you, "Hey, would you like to do that for real?"
Yeah.
And I did. I appreciated shooting on the archery Army archery team. I also, as a special forces operator, did use archery in combat. One of the few people that actually did, and it was amazing. I got to test things that at the time were 10, 12 years before everybody else got it. And it was a lot of fun. It was great. And to use it in combat was surreal. Still stressful, but surreal. It was very weird, but I excelled at it. And the only thing I excelled at more was training tactical canines that we actually took into service. So after my pounding my chest career of being the big, bad, tough guy, I pulled back and just started training dogs, and big, pound your chest kind of dogs, but still I used to jump out of airplanes with these animals attached to me, which also afforded me a lot of time to go to South Africa and hunt.
And
doing all this allowed me the ability to go and do a lot of plains game hunting. That's what I stuck with. I didn't stick with anything that I wouldn't eat. So
okay.
And Danny, what is the main purpose of the battle dogs? Finding people or fighting, or what is the main purpose of these dogs?
Three purposes. The first is to go ahead and maintain that our perimeter. We use a census to make sure that there are not other sentries coming up on us. The second is to go ahead and ascertain whether there's a presence of explosives and or human remains. And the other is, of course, to destroy anything that opposes us. If you have a weapon, if you have a weapon and you do not put it down, the dogs will take your arm off.
Wow.
There is no ifs or buts about it. And they're not little German shepherds. I promise you that. They're not little shepherds. And they're not the Belgian Malinois that everyone sees on TV.
And were these surveillance dogs, were they equipped with cameras or something?
Yes, of course. We did have cameras on them, so we could see and direct
what they see. Yep.
And we had thermal cameras as well as night vision capable cameras, and we would go ahead and send the dogs normally on a counterclockwise pattern around a town. We would float in together, send them on a counterclockwise. We would go clockwise and meet together. But we had an interface where we could actually go ahead and heads up display, where we could actually see where the dogs were going. And they were able to go ahead and communicate, so to speak, what was going on by how they were acting, what they were doing. And if they saw a weapon, that there was just, it was all.
And how do they recognize a weapon? Of course, they could smell explosives, maybe.
They not only can smell the explosives, the gun oil, but they also have been trained to ascertain the difference between a rifle gun and an RPG.
Wow.
If it's an RPG, and that's the thing with RPGs, they don't take arm or leg bites on that. That is we like to call it a soul bite, because that's the next thing that they're going to see is their soul. It comes off right there. But don't mean to be too graphic, but it is what it is.
Interesting.
And unfortunately, it happened way too often, and RPGs were given to almost everyone. You could buy them in any bazaar for $100. If you had $100 American, you could walk away with an RPG and 2 reloads.
Wow.
If you had another $200, you could walk away with another AK-47 and all the ammunition you could carry.
Sounds like El Dorado.
It was, well, spending as much time as I have in the Middle East, I wouldn't wish it on anyone else. And I really, truly hope that no one else really has to go ahead and live through that. Or
And what are the special tasks for archery in modern warfare?
A lot of times it's sentry. You would have to go ahead and remove sentries. You would have to go ahead and put up grappling lines, small grappling hooks. And then we would use devices very similar to this, which is an ascender. These ascenders would clip onto the line, and you'd go ahead and inch your way up. The fact that I actually can still do that, having broken my neck and back, I have no idea. It's the legs. I use a lot of the leg, but we use lines like that, pull ourselves up, and
so in most cases not for fighting, but for technical.
Well, the fighting happened early and often, because a lot of times when you're taking the sentries, there's normally 4 to anywhere between 4 to 12 sentries on any one guarded building. You have to go ahead and take them quietly. The dogs can't do that if they are not up there. So,
but I don't know. I always thought if you shoot the guard or so with the bow, it won't be quiet, no, because he likes to scream, or I don't know.
Oh no. There is no screaming.
Really?
There's no screaming. You hear a and some gurgling, and then you hear a boom as they fall. It was more or less a loud thump, but it's certainly half the sound of even a 22 that's being suppressed. A 22 being suppressed is very loud. People don't realize how loud it truly is. But it's very loud. The bows that I used were usually quite heavy, and shooting a heavy arrow, it was pretty much done and over with, even through hard Kevlar helmets. It meant nothing.
And which bow did you use there? Recurve, compound?
I used a takedown compound and a takedown recurve.
Okay.
At that time, I was still shooting over the 150 to 180 pound mark. I preferred the recurve takedown because the let off actually hurt my back. When you pulled it back and you used a release, that actually hurt my back because I was used to the heavier recurve weight. And when your body's ready for something and it doesn't happen.
I understand.
And that was before I realized I had any neck and back issues. A long time before. So, and I shot eventually up to the 240 pound mark.
Wow.
Well, there's a reason behind that. I never really wanted to, but there's a gentleman in Britain who thought it was a good idea to say he was the strongest archer in the world.
Shoots a 220 pound longbow, right?
Well, he did. He did, Mark Stretton, and he's a terrific gentleman. I don't want to take away from that. He's a terrific gentleman. But we knew the same people. Pip Bickerstaff had made bows for me in heavier weights than he ever made for Mark Stretton.
Okay.
He did so because I paid him. I didn't ask anything of him other than to, please just make it work. And I hunted with those longbows because I could. A lot of people would not even consider it because in hunting conditions, you twitch, you tense up, and you can't really pull the same when you're in different situations. But I have worked and worked and worked so I could. And luckily, I knock on wood, I can still go ahead and draw back 180 and shoot it with no problem.
Well, and when did this start with you with heavy poundage? When did you realize that you can shoot heavy bows?
The heavy stuff was when my grandfather first started taking me to South Africa to hunt. There were some areas that you could not hunt unless especially with a recurve or longbow, unless it was over 120 pounds.
Okay.
Wow. And I was already a monster when I was, 14, 15 years old, and I was already shooting well over 110, 120.
Okay.
So my grandfather said, let's go. And I, of course, said, okay, not stupid, let's go. We came upon some guides that he had used in the past, took us out, and it was kind of like watching the old Howard Hill movies. Aus.
Yeah.
The German Shepherd.
Yeah, of course he understands German, the Shepherd.
Well,
don't chase your tail.
He's still mentally a baby. But
Howard Hill.
No, I was blessed. My grandfather would take me on these hunts. We went all around the world, and it was more along the lines of he wanted to do something to maintain that I was going to carry on the tradition. My grandfather was really more into the big heavy guns. He had, he had a bunch of different Nitro Expresses. and he thought it was a funny thing to do, to hand that to me when I was like a 12-year-old kid. And well, luckily I'm stout. You know, I've been a 300-pound gorilla since about the time I was about 13, 14 years old. So for me, you know, he had already kind of pushed it on me. I just didn't care for guns because to me it was not difficult. If you can go ahead and, you know, walk up and shoot something, you can certainly stalk up and shoot something with a bow. And I know personally, there's nothing on earth that I can't go ahead and take down with my bows. It's just not possible. There's nothing that walks that I can't take down. I'm not really interested in taking down elephants, rhinoceros, or anything like that. But I know if they charge me, I'm going to be able to live through it.
Yeah.
What arrow weight have you used with this heavy bows for hunting big games?
But funny you should ask. The very bare minimum I use is about 1,100 grains.
Okay.
And I actually have a series of what I use right here.
Not so heavy, 1,100.
Well, you'll find that this is an X30 gold tip shaft. I also have a standard matrix shaft in there, and inside of that is one of the target
aluminum arrows.
Target arrow. No, it's not aluminum. It's not aluminum. These are all carbon, but
Okay.
they all fit inside and give me a deflection of over 225 pounds.
Okay.
Then I go ahead and fill the inside with ballistic gelatin,
Okay.
which gives me the weight that I need to shoot between 115 and 135 pounds, which is my average. Which is my average. I shoot on a regular basis.
Your warm-up
And
routine.
this in itself can hold my weight, and I'm 268 pounds.
Wow.
I can literally go ahead and, you know, it'll hold my weight with no problem. So the deflection that I'm talking about is just the dynamic deflection when it leaves the arrow.
Wow.
That sounds like a little impact on the target.
Not little in the slightest.
Yeah.
And this is one of the finished arrows, which I use the old style Super 2, which gives me almost 4 inches of.
That's a big hole. That's a big hole.
It is. It is. And this one is roughly 150.5 grains. The whole arrow which is fletched with feathers, roughly around 1,120 to 1,125 grains.
Okay.
There are sometimes I need to go ahead and put a little brass spacer in there to go ahead and give me a little extra, but I don't front load my arrows. I try to get that across to a lot of my my compatriots that hunt. They don't seem to understand that, like an airplane, if you go ahead and preload an arrow, that changes the shaft's deflection.
Makes it weak. Makes it weaker.
Much weaker, especially when you put 3 and 350 grain points up in front. They think that just because they have, you know, a little thicker wall in the front, that's going to hold. No, that actually means that whatever's contacting the string is at its weakest. That's why there's all kinds of pictures of people with shafts through their arm and through their hands on the internet. Usually it's a redneck that did not listen. Give me one moment. I'm going to kick the dog out of the room.
Okay.
Okay.
Ranger, go to bed. Thank you.
Geh schlafen. Oh, great. But then on the other side, I think it's quite tricky to get bows in this poundage. As you said, bigger stuff. No? Where do you get your?
No. It used to be hard. It used to be very difficult, but I have been blessed. People, once they see that I can actually do it, and I'm willing to show them, all of a sudden they started jumping out of the woodwork. Not just have I gone ahead and had these made from Howard Hill. I actually have one here that is one of my favorites.
Ooh, look at that.
Wow, looks good.
Oh, yes. It's
Pretty.
125 pounds, and I cheat. I tell him, 25 inches.
Mhm.
So I get a little extra weight out of everything I get from him because
Mhm.
I pull 27,
Okay.
but it's one of those. But
Mhm.
most of my hills that you'll see, and I have quite a few of them,
Mhm.
are in the 110 to 135 pound range.
Mhm.
And I order anything that I have custom is ordered with dual shelves, both sides.
Mhm.
And I actually can pull and shoot that weight, both arms,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and just as well. I'm a little better with the right, but I can do it with the left.
Mhm.
But I do that because there's a lot of times that you're in a hunting situation that you're not able to get the shot that you need.
With the
So
right
you
hand,
need
yeah.
to be able to learn to mix it up and go on the other side.
Makes
Mhm.
sense.
And because I was a heavier guy, if you see, I've lost a lot of weight recently, Peter.
Mhm.
Yep.
I was about 330 pounds just 3 or 4 months ago.
Wow.
I got down to 268
Mhm.
because I've been doing a lot of physical therapy to get
Mhm.
back to shooting the heavy stuff.
I see.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to go ahead and keep myself in a little better shape. But
Okay.
no, the Howard Hills, Craig's been making my Howard Hills, well,
Mhm.
since I've been an adult. I also have, this is my, and it doesn't look like much. Thank you, Ranger. He just unplugged the light because he's a good dog.
Mhm.
He still thinks that it's okay to play with Daddy, even when Daddy says go.
Oh.
Sit, plots. Show me
Mhm.
plots. And he understands it. Let's
Mhm.
see how long it
Exactly.
takes. This is based off of the Home Guard
Mhm.
design.
Yep.
Mhm.
This is 240 pounds at 26 and a half inches.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the heaviest. Then we have one that was made here, 200 pounds by Pip Pickerstaff.
Mhm.
And Danny, let me
Yes.
shortly interrupt you. And
Oh,
in my opinion, there are not a lot bows around which are able to make this heavy bows.
This is what I
Because
meant. Yeah.
it is very difficult, in my opinion, to
Mhm.
make a good heavy bow, not just a thick stick, but
there are very few that can do it well. Yes,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
part is
yeah.
true. There are very few that can do it well.
Mhm.
There are some custom bowyers that will do it. Big Jim is one of them.
Mhm.
If you've ever heard of Big Jim's bows, he's one of them. He makes some bigger ones. It takes someone who's been in the business
Yeah.
at least 10 or 15 years,
Mhm.
who
Yeah.
knows the wood and the laminates and what they could get away with.
Mhm.
Yep.
Because with the majority of the fiberglass that's on these bows, and there's fiberglass on every single one of these,
Mhm.
except the Bickerstaff bows
Mhm.
Except English.
and the Home Guard.
Yeah.
And the Home Guard. That is just polyurethane on wood. That is
Mhm.
just a very large log that was carved. That's it. That thing's just huge. But the rest of them, they are all covered in very thick fiberglass.
Mhm.
And it takes someone who knows the materials.
Yeah.
So you got to look like someone like Craig Eakin. Craig Eakin can make up to 250 pounds, and in his head, he's got all of the technical knowledge to go ahead and say, well, these are the laminates I need.
Mhm.
This is the deflection I'm going to need from this. He
Mhm.
could do it in his head and have it glued up that afternoon.
And very important,
He's got a backlog.
you have to work very proper and accurate, because you know how much pressure is in the fade outs and in these critical places on the bow. It's very difficult to make. It's easy to make a 30-pound bow or a 50-pound bow, but above 100, I think here.
It is more difficult, and that's why it costs more. If people realized how much money actually was on this wall, they try to break in.
I don't tell them.
So
You can tell us. Nobody's listening.
Don't tell us.
But when you look at some of these, which some of them are absolute works of art, this one especially, as I told you before, I really loved Japanese archery. This is a Western version of a symmetrical Yumi.
Okay, nice.
Deep sweeping curves. This one is 125 pounds, and I've been shooting that almost 22 years.
Wow. Okay.
That has been all over Africa, South America, everywhere I've gone. That bow's been, and that is tough as nails. It's actually just as strong as it was when I first got it.
Wow.
And like you said, finding a good bowyer to go ahead and come up with that is difficult.
Yeah.
This was, if you know who Jaap Kopdrayer is, he makes Yumis out of, this is one of his students made this bow for me. I offered the kid whatever he wanted. All he let me pay for was the materials.
Wow.
Wow. Nice guy. Nice guy.
All he asked me to do was tell people who he was, and then that was it. He was able to go ahead and take off on his own. He's been doing his own thing. Jaap actually told him he wanted him to do this because Jaap didn't want to make it for me. I asked him and I offered him whatever he wanted. And he said, I have the right person for you. Well, let's talk to Chris. And Chris Vizina made that for me. And he's been doing his own thing ever since. But,
and Denny, how about the compound bows? Are they available up to that heavy weights?
Yes. Funny you should ask. I developed a 200-pound compound bow.
Ooh, okay.
I did not bring it to market. It cost me around 25,000, 30,000 to go ahead and have developed. And then I got hit with the insurance bill. The same insurance companies that insure everybody else, because I had to send them the bow, they said it's going to cost me $5,000 a month.
Wow.
Jesus.
So I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I just made them for myself.
Yeah.
Now, that's not any of these. It was this one that you see right here. I don't even have the limbs on it anymore. I took the limbs and the string off because I wanted to shoot it. And it wasn't dangerous. It wasn't an issue like that, but there was a little bit more string wear. So you had to go ahead and replace things a little bit more often, but it was phenomenal. Now I go ahead and have customs made from the different companies. This is over 110 pounds. And this is a Bowtech from about 10 years ago. I also had Elite put one out for me. That is practically brand new. I've only shot it like 5 or 6 times. These compounds are also in the 130 to 150 pound weight once they're cranked all the way down.
Okay.
Another reason why I've got tournament arrows set up for those, because also.
And how they do it with the compounds? Are the limbs that much thicker so they get the weight, or are the cams different?
No, the cams are relatively similar. They're a little thicker. You'll find they're just a little thicker, and the strings are just a little thicker, but the limb is not only thicker but it's shorter.
Okay.
They actually shortened it up by about an inch and a half. Preloading the string, giving it a little bit more to it, and all I do is I keep them turned down a little bit. When I'm ready to shoot, I torque them back. And I go ahead and play with them. But once again, shooting the compounds hurts.
Yeah.
If I shoot the heavier stuff, This one being one of my shorter favorites. This
Mhm.
one still shooting at 110, 115 pounds, but it's
A nice,
clean,
yeah.
clean release, very
Mhm.
clean release.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry so much about any of the pain that comes with it,
Mhm.
which my doctor is extremely worried about. So
Mhm.
hopefully my doctor's not going to be watching this.
Mhm. So
But
I
I
just wanted to ask what's your favorite bow is now of your whole collection, your all-time favorite. If you only
all-time
could
favorite-
keep, if you only could keep one of your bows, which would it be? Okay, two.
Well, two. It would be two. I have a one that should not exist.
Mm-hmm.
This is a I don't know if you've ever heard of Rodney Wright. Rodney Wright puts out a custom bow. This is called a Firehawk Magnum.
Oui, that's nice.
Oh, it is.
Looks like
It
like a
looks good. This?
Scutin bow or like that.
Wow.
115 pounds at 28 inches.
Oh, nice.
And it is very smooth, very quick.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as distance, never been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I also have this Damon Howitt that was made for me that's in 165 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
That Damon Howitt
Good.
put that together for me as
Good
one of
bow.
I shoot for them as a safari staff shooter.
Mm-hmm.
This for
One of-
recurves.
One
For
of
my
the best,
recurves, those are
one
my
of the
favorite
best,
recurves.
one of the best recurve bows, in my opinion, are these Damon Howard bows.
Yes.
Hunting recurves.
That's why I love them and I stand by them. But when it comes down to what my absolute possible favorite is, it would be the 125 pound Howard Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
it's my favorite for many reasons. One, because it's right in the sweet zone as far as power,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't really require anything extra for me to shoot. All I have to do is draw,
Mm-hmm.
kind of aim, and wherever that arrow is pointed, that's where it goes like a laser beam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as I've done my homework correctly with my arrows, which I always do,
Mm-hmm.
they go. Now I make all my own strings to all these too, which is
Mhm.
another thing that people need to focus on. Is if you don't have the right string, you
Mhm.
can't get that power from the limb
Mhm.
to the arrow.
Okay.
And a lot of folks just throw that to the chance.
And
Oh, I
as-
told you the manufacturer says.
and so,
Never.
what are your string secrets?
Well, I cheat a lot
Mhm.
by not using beeswax. I use the synthetic wax,
Mhm.
and I make my own
Mhm.
Jig?
everything. My own jigs. I do not trust in anybody else's measurements, so I make my own.
Mhm.
I do a lot of this to go ahead and keep my fingers working because, as I told you, I broke my neck and back in the Army.
Mhm.
My fingers don't work like they used to, so I make a lot of string,
Yeah.
a lot of it.
Mechanic, yeah.
But I utilize the synthetic wax. I do not use beeswax.
Mhm.
And I do not do what a lot of the folks do as far as braiding. Braiding is useless on Flemish strings. What I do is I literally just twist like they're supposed to. That's why they're called Flemish twist.
Mhm.
I use a lot of wax,
Mhm.
and I take my time.
Mhm.
Then I pre-stretch them with double whatever weight I'm planning on using them for.
Okay.
And it's,
Mhm.
I have a lot of weight.
Mhm.
So I go ahead and pre-stretch everything, and I can actually tow my truck
Mhm.
with some of my strings.
Yeah.
And these are Dicron B50.
Actually, I use D97,
Mhm.
and I go ahead and use it the same way I would the B500.
Mhm.
I love B500, but I don't like the fact that it's a little weaker.
More stretching.
Mhm.
Exactly. I don't like to stretch. And when you're dealing with weights that I am,
It stretches a lot.
to stretch and smack me in the face, which it has done.
Yeah.
Ranger, out. Come here. Out. Go.
Don't chew on that Howard Hill bow. Imagine.
He knows better. He's actually stealing one of my foam golf balls that I use as a target.
Okay, that's fine.
Any balls at the moment, he's ready to play with. But no, when it comes to the strings, everything is done by hand. I do everything myself. I also go ahead and maintain that there is a serving around at least 2 to 3 inches of my twist. So that way, if it moves and if it's stretched at all, I see that and it saves me from having any kind of catastrophe. Because these bows being as expensive as they are, as well as my face being already beat up, we don't need any more help. So I go ahead and maintain that each one of them has at least a little bit of serving on there, just to make sure that is going to go ahead and hold for me. Because over time, anything can happen. Anything could stretch as you're shooting. You know, they fray a little bit. So
have you ever tried endless strings? Because in my opinion, they are faster because they have no twist in them.
I will break them every time.
Really?
There has to be some amount of give. If there's not some amount of give, and if there's not a place for the flexion and reflex to go, it's going to snap. And also go ahead and cause damage to the limbs. And like I said, this stuff's expensive. So
okay, I understand.
But I mean, I've used them. I have them on some crossbows. They work okay, but once again, the vibration has to go somewhere. And with endless loop, that's going to happen. That's my personal thought process. Peter, I will never tell you that you're wrong.
I detected it in all the Howard Hill pictures that he had a lot of endless strings on his bows. I don't think these Flemish strings were widely in use in the 50s and 40s and in these days.
He actually had one that was he had one loop that was tied, and then he had he tied a bowyers knot at the other end. On a lot of his bows, you can actually see in some of the Robin Hood shots that there's a little bit of string dangling on bows. That's because it was tied off at the end where he needed it. But you know, Howard Hill did so many different things throughout his career that folks don't really know what's gospel. And that's
and he had different equipment for every purpose, I think, because if he did target or hunting or flight or so he had always special stuff, I think.
Well, and he had a lot of things very much like I say. You mentioned Craig Eakin, you know, he's got the stuff in his head. Well, Howard Hill was always doing the same thing, and he taught that not only to Jerry Hill but also to the Eakins. Anyone that would listen, he would go ahead and explain how his mind worked. And the folks took it their way. And, you know, that's why you have different folks that have gone ahead and taken the Hill style and made it their own. You know, you had Jim Belcher on not that long ago. Another wonderful guy. He actually broke my heart when he bought the company that had all the laminations when it was here in Waukegan. He actually bought that company and moved it to Michigan. And I used to go in and buy whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, just walk in, get what I wanted. And then he bought it and I couldn't get anything. But you know, when you go ahead and you talk to him, and I did watch the episode that you folks had.
He knows a lot. He knows so much.
He's forgotten more than most people are going to know about building these boats. But if you look at things the way that he does, it's another one that he's got the math right there. He's got the math. He's doing the math on the fly. and then he'll write something down and let you know what his thoughts are on it. He actually built me a form for Howard Hill bows.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I've got it in my garage, and because he's got all the laminations, I don't have anything to laminate. We'll get there. We'll get there. But I'm at the point where, honestly, I'm a much better shooter than I am at building anything. I'm good at breaking things. I'm not good at building anything. But eventually, I'm going to go ahead and press myself and do it.
No, why not?
At least it's worth a try. No?
Exactly. I mean, plus, I don't think I'm going to go ahead and be shooting, over the 150 to 180 pound mark anytime soon. I think, if anything, my son is going to take over at some point and shooting the heavier stuff. I'm building him up slowly, which is the only way to do it, is in very tiny increments. But I get him a new bow every so often, and it's almost time for a new one. But
it's Christmas time. It's Christmas time.
Exactly. He actually asked me for pizza. So what I did is I actually sent my son Lou Malnati's pizza, which is a Chicago delight here. If you've ever had it, you'll never want pizza anywhere else again.
Okay.
But really?
My son, my son asked me for it, so I sent him 4.
Oh, nice.
Oh yes, and I also sent him bullets because he bought his wife a 45 long Colt Taurus Judge, and they couldn't find ammo for any reason where he lives. Okay. So I went ahead and bought him some ammo, had it sent to him. But
isn't the Taurus Judge that with the 410 shot shells?
You can use 410 or 45 long Colt.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I didn't tell him about the 410 shells because I don't want my son out there teaching his wife to shoot with 410 shotgun shells in the chamber. I love my daughter-in-law too much. She's very sweet. So,
nice.
But as far as the longbows go, that particular longbow is probably my favorite. As far as the recurves go, it's either one, the Rodney Wright.
Can you show this one completely on the left again, this nicely curved one, because we only saw the handle of it, on the left. Not this one, completely on the left wall, on the other side. The nice curvy one you showed us.
That one.
This one, yeah.
This one. Okay.
Because we only saw the handle. Can I see a bit more of the limb to this? Okay. Relatively long. Interesting. Wow. It's like a Scythian design. More like a angular bow, yeah.
That one, like I said, is based off of a horse bow, I think, was what he was trying for.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's one of the finest shooters as far as recurves go I think I've ever had. And I actually got a telephone call. I had begged, once again, if he would build me something heavier. No. And then all of a sudden he makes a mistake on a glue up, and Rodney called me up and said, Denny, how are you? I'm okay. Did you finally say yes? He goes, well, as a matter of fact, yes, I did. But it was by accident.
Okay.
So he went ahead and sent me that specifically for what he put in it. Another one. Only charged me what he put in it.
Well.
And I said, sir, I'll pay you, his going price is $900. And I told him, if you want $900, I'll give it to you. He goes, I've got $400 into the build. That's what you pay. Okay. And he's shipping from Canada.
Wow.
So still, I think I was definitely lucky on that one. But I've asked Rodney for heavier. Still says no.
Yeah, wait until he makes a mistake again.
If he makes another mistake, I already told him the money's his. He's just got to say something.
Yeah.
But no, I have another one that I appreciate. Not very heavy. It's only around 80 pounds. It's also pretty curvy. This is a Cascade custom by Steve.
Quite aggressive recurves, yeah.
Oh, yes. And that's another one that if you are just shooting ethical hunting distances, there's nothing you can't hit. If you're shooting up to 35 yards, you're going to keep a group like this. All you have to do is just.
Are they still available? That's Cascade?
No.
Because I know they used to advertise in the traditional bow hunter magazine a lot. From there, I know them, and from that old Dan Bartellen book, you know, the traditional boas of North America, I think.
Mr. Gore has stopped making anything. There is a gentleman by the name of Mark Moriez out of Canada that also made some of those lines in his shops, but I don't think that he's going to be capable of making anything anytime soon either. I've tried. I've offered him whatever he wanted, and not that I have that money floating around, but I did offer him whatever he wanted, and he still said, "I'll get back to you." So, and it wasn't about the weight. He knew who I was, and he knows the other folks that I work with and talk to. So he knows I can pull it and shoot it without any issue. So that's not. It was all about timing and the so-called COVID issue. I'm not going to go there.
Some have an issue with it, yeah, but we don't go there. They deleted already one of our videos where we had a little longer discussion about this. They simply deleted them. So.
But we just made a little fun about. We don't.
Of course, we only make fun.
We don't put out wrong or false medical advertise.
Medical misinformation. Yeah, I said, and I told YouTube, how can I? I'm not a doctor. I'm not. You know, how can I give medical misinformation?
I wouldn't go to an archery channel if I need medical advice. No,
exactly.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, I have to admit, I did go ahead and get vaccinated. I was not going to take any risks with my family. Because I was a little fatter at the time, a lot fatter. I just decided, hey, I had too many more, you know.
And that's more weight is more risk. I understand that, of course.
And the year before last, I had kidney surgery.
Okay.
And one of those issues that right after the kidney surgery, that's when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And
then your immune system is not there, so of course you're a little more careful.
So I couldn't take the risk for the first 6-8 months. I was in the house.
An endangered species.
Yeah. Denny in endangered species.
I actually went ahead and set up my my target in my garage and was shooting through the house. My wife was not happy.
I imagine that.
Surprise.
You know, I didn't miss. That's all she needs to worry about.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
is there Danny, what when you go up with this high poundages, is there somewhere a plateau where you say, okay, from 120 to 130 is more difficult than from 100 whatever 50 to 60, or is it continuously? How is this? Because I have no idea about these high poundages.
When it comes to the weight, there is a point of diminishing returns, so to speak, as far as how much more you're going to be able to project to your target. And that would be anything over 160 pounds. Anything over 160 pounds, there's that, you know, law of diminishing returns starts to become an issue.
Okay.
Byron Ferguson says, except if you're hunting real big game with arrows heavier than 1,000 grains or heavier, he says his point is between 70 and 80. He says you can't get a lot more out of it if you have so much weight. That's his opinion. I don't know.
That's also because he cannot and has not ever been able to draw over 100 pounds.
But it was not necessary for him.
Well, for him, it's not necessary because he can hit an aspirin at 80 yards. I mean, the gentleman is very good at what he does. I've also another very kind and sweet man, and will give you his time.
Absolutely.
But you know, his feelings are, if it's not worth it to him, why bother?
Yeah.
And I understand
yeah,
completely.
yeah.
If you can't feel that there is a ability or need for it, why bother?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think you have to commit. You're a kind of, you like this strong bow guy image, or you like it this, and so this leads to that. So, and Byron doesn't has this goals.
He doesn't have a chip on his shoulder, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that at one point in my life I did have a huge chip on my shoulder.
Mhm.
But as I've grown older, I found that I don't need that to define me.
Yeah.
I allow my shooting to define me.
Mhm.
And when you're shooting stuff that's, you know,
And
like I
you
said,
know,
125 to 150 pounds, you don't really shoot it.
Mhm.
You basically draw it, and whatever that arrow is pointing at is where that arrow goes.
Mhm.
It's almost cheating at that point. And to me, I don't like to lose.
Mhm.
And he's a pragmatic. Byron is a pragmatic, practical guy. So he does what he needs,
Yeah.
and he does not one step more because he has no, how you say, ambition or so.
Exactly. Well, he's dialed in. His body is a finely crafted, honed machine that he can go ahead and do what he wants when he wants to do it.
Yeah.
And that's more power to him for being able to do that. You know.
And 80 pounds is enough to get his white tail, whatever, and get his fridge full. So this is all he cares about.
80 pounds is enough to go ahead and take a grizzly bear if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Any day of the week. There's people that are doing it all the time. I have one story when it comes to bear hunting that I can share, but it's embarrassing. I did not bow hunt bear myself. I helped guide for a friend because he was sick. I took this gentleman out. He had a really lovely 55-pound longbow. Oh yeah, it was great. 55-pound longbow, had a 700, 800 grain arrow. Do the math now.
Yeah,
doesn't
nothing.
work.
Doesn't do anything.
It does absolutely nothing. Ranger, go.
At least not with a grizzly.
Well, this was a brown bear. This is a brown bear.
Okay.
I helped him stalk up to about 30 yards. I stood back another 10 yards. He gets up. The bear turns and sees him. He frantically lets go, and the arrow hits right in the shoulder. The bear looks at him and runs straight for him. He looks at me, runs straight for me. Drops his bow at my feet, and all I can see is a brown bear charging me.
So?
Well, I dropped 12 arrows into that bear as fast as I could.
Wow.
I split his skull with the first one.
Wow.
He was dead. He just didn't know it yet. And I just kept putting arrows into him. And it was surreal like a movie. It was almost slow motion. He skidded to a stop at my feet, and I practically peed myself. I had no interest in hunting bear. I had no interest in eating bear. I certainly was not interested in shooting that bear. But I had no choice. So the gentleman who ran past me comes back around. Did I get it? No, you didn't. As a matter of fact, you're going to gut the thing by yourself. Have fun. I just walked away.
Wow.
I grabbed my arrows, the ones that I could, and told the gentleman, yeah, go ahead and cape it out yourself. I'm done. Now, when all was said and done, I did load the meat. I did load everything for him because he was tired after that.
I would have preferred a 45-70 or so, or 120 for stopping that bear.
Well, that's the thing. You know,
a nice lever gun.
That the gentleman could have taken the bear if he had lowered his point weight, brought the arrows back into a responsible weight for the bow, because once again, you know, law of diminishing returns is only so much you could, you know, throw out there with a 55-pound longbow. It doesn't matter if it's the best longbow in the world. There's only so much you could throw if you have arrow
Yep.
set up for something wrong or incorrectly.
Yeah.
But you know, I see people go ahead and post. You know, I'm a Compton guy. I see folks go ahead and post all the time that they, you know, 50, 60, even 70 pounds. They go ahead and take them all day long.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of you learning your gear and
Yeah.
time to
It's
learn
it's
your
like
gun.
it's like a heavy car with not enough horsepower. You know.
It's not going anywhere. It's just
Yeah.
not going anywhere.
Mm.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
that said, I put a lot of time into, you know, making sure that my arrows are going to go where they're supposed to go.
Mhm.
Each setup has a little bit different arrow weight, has a little bit different thing for it. There
Mhm.
are some that I fill with salt instead of the ballistic gel.
Mhm.
I still fill them with something because I need to have the mass throughout, which
Yeah.
is something that people have forgotten about traditional archery equipment. You
Mm.
cannot go ahead and overload the front.
No, of course
You
not.
overload the front of an airplane,
Mm.
where does it go? It goes
Yeah.
down.
No stone. Yeah.
And you try to explain that to some of the folks that are on the trad boards that
Mhm.
they've known everything for a while. They're going to continue to know everything for
Mm.
come. They know everything. They've read it in a magazine, so it must be true.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I've been living the lifestyle, and you know, it helps to not have them chase me back when you're shooting at something.
Mm.
You know, I kill hundreds of hogs, wild hogs a year.
Mhm.
It's one of those that I'm not really interested in having a 300-pound hog chase me.
Yeah.
So I want to put them down. I want to put them down hard and fast.
Mm.
I've had people try to take me up in helicopters to go ahead and do that too. But
Mhm.
no, I'm not going to do that. But I'm sure it's fun for somebody. It's just not fun for me.
Mhm.
I've jumped out of helicopters for 30 years.
It
Not
would
anymore.
it would be
enough,
nice. It would be nice pictures, no?
Yeah.
Pictures, it would be great. Pictures, it would be great. But I've got a face for radio.
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily somebody that, you know, going to be the face of.
Yes, you are handsome. Don't you worry.
Thank you very much. But
And look at us, you know. It's so no,
Yeah.
it's nothing.
well, when
Because we
Peter's
have
dressed- when
we have no beard.
Peter's dressed up, he's got makeup on too. I know when he's going on
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, of
Yeah,
course.
That's why he was a little late, Peter, today, because he was not done.
Yeah. My lipstick and my
Yeah.
my nails were not made.
It's quite tough.
But
Yep.
no, I don't know about you guys, but this is archery for me.
Yeah.
Traditional is really the only way. When
Mhm.
it comes to the compounds, I like to win money.
Mhm.
So buddies of mine get together and we go to the different pro-am shoots,
Mhm.
and we usually go ahead and, hey, how would you like to make this interesting?
Mm.
Anyway, $10 an arrow.
Mhm.
The group of guys that are all putting the money in, $10 an arrow.
Mhm.
I don't care if it's me or my buddy that wins. We're splitting it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay.
It
So
works.
you're
It's
like that.
doing-
You're like that team of Mississippi boat gamblers. You know, they were a team and they shared the
Exactly.
money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly.
Seems like we have technical problems. Danny is, I don't know, he died. You saw it that he disappeared and he doesn't come back. So we will invite him simply another time, maybe directly next week or in 2 weeks. We will see. Right?
Yep. He's out of order, so we invite him again for next week. Yeah,
Exactly.
No problem.
Thank you all for
guys.
watching. I hope you found it interesting. I found it very interesting to have one guy who really pulls these 180, 200-pound bows. It's for me totally not, I can't imagine that. I mean, I shoot 70 pounds, but yeah.
I just wanted to say, finally we got the guy in our level of archery.
So yeah, okay. Yeah. But you see, even he experienced with compound bows and everything, and his most likely bow is in the Howard Hill style bow, huh?
Interesting.
That was interesting. Now I want my hill style bow even more. So Margin, hurry up.
Yeah, we will push him
yeah.
to work.
But now on the other side, should take his time. And always when somebody builds a bow for me, I always say, listen, only go when you have your best thoughts and only bring good mood when you build the bow for me. That all this energy is built in the bow.
Esoteric.
Yes, but it works.
Esoteric, spiritual bow making.
I mean, when you take a piece of wood, you take a little piece of the soul of a forest, and then you have it in your hand. So of course you need to treat it properly.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
True.
Okay. We stop talking now. We stop the podcast for today, and we need to wish you all a happy Christmas, and if you celebrate this, because the next one will be after Christmas, right? Or what is?
Yeah, Merry Christmas to all you guys and girls and
everybody out there who celebrates Christmas. Happy Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever the name is.
To Armin's groupies.
They don't exist, so it's fine. Happy Yule and happy winter solstice and whatever, and
happy everything.
But before New Year, we see us again. We will have another episode until then, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Peter, next time Peter will show us all his efforts he did now with his action figure, the Bowman. Some of you saw already the photos, but he can show them next time. Huh? You prepared, then you show it next time.
Yeah. Maybe I can order sunglasses because they got broke, so he's not complete.
Yeah. You can cut out of cardboard and glue them on. And, come on,
they cost as much as real sunglasses.
Yeah, of course. That's just when they're well made, of course, the size. Even they should be even more expensive for the small stuff.
For small nose and small head. Yeah.
And what is the scale? 1 to 5, right?
1 to 6.
1 to 6.
The feature is 12 inches, 33 centimeters.
I met once a Turkish guy who lives in Malta, Kemal. He's a very nice guy. He was a seaman for all his life, and now he's in pension. And he sits at home, and he thought, I built a bow. Of course, he builds a Turkish bow, and I built directly a composite bow. So he didn't start with anything else. And he wrote me, listen, you're this Malta archery guy. I built a horn bow. Do you want to check what I made? And I thought, okay, it will be something, And I went there, and this bow was pristine, beautiful. Had only 28-inch draw, a bit too short for me, but everything was perfect. This bow was just perfect. And then I was sitting there, and then he showed me a small sailing ship he built, and then he built even a Vorderlader Gewehr,
muzzle loader,
in scale 1 to 4 or something, even with the box and with the ammunition, with everything, and detailed like crazy. I thought I want to do this, so I did. Oh, wow, he's not an artist, he's a craftsman, but amazing. That's why I thought, if it would fit the scale, I would ask.
There's some kind of magic to that miniature stuff.
Yeah, it has.
It has some magic into it.
Yeah, I ordered now a small bow, a mini for home, because I like this stuff too. Yeah. So, guys, but we start bubbling again. Thank you very much for watching.
Merry Christmas. Have nice holidays.
Stay safe. Take care, and
don't drink,
of course, and subscribe and all this stuff. Right?
Don't drink too much.
Come on, we only live once. Drink, have fun, enjoy your life.
Drink as much as you can.
Exactly. See you guys. Bye bye.